We're back with our first segment. We're here with Gene Brooks talking about knee injuries. Hi, Gene.
Hey, Michael. How are you?
Good. So you brought your little friend there.
Yeah, this is a trial exhibit of a knee. And so I thought this may be helpful for the viewers to see the anatomy of the knee and to talk about the various parts of the knee joint.
I want you to tell us the parts, and then we'll get into the injuries.
Okay. Yeah, just looking at this model, we have, I'm going to turn it to the side so maybe you can see a little better. This is the kneecap, and it's the patella, and above it you have the tendon that attaches it to the quadriceps above it and the muscles below. Then you have the thigh bone, which comes down into the joint, and then below the joint you have the shin bone, I'll just call it that, the lower leg bone. In between here you have the cartilage, or the meniscus, and then inside the knee, inside here, you have two ligaments, and on the side here, you have ligaments. And all these have to work together so the knee will operate properly.
Okay, and that little bone's the tibia.
That's the little one here.
Yeah, I knew about him. I broke him in October.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah, painful.
Yeah.
How many different ways can you injure your knee, and which one's the hardest to fix?
Okay. I'm going to first of all refer to this, the graphic you have here, because one of the more common injuries we have is here. This is the cartilage. And as you can see, this is a good diagram. You've got the thigh bone coming down and the shin bone coming up. And the cartilage is a cushion between these two bones. So when the cartilage is damaged, the joint does not move smoothly. And here's a picture of the cartilage on the other side, and they can either be damaged when that happens, then you can have arthritis. So that's one way you can have injury to the knee. I'm going to go back to the model now, because the model shows the ligaments, and particularly inside the ligaments, you can sort of see this little piece of rubber has popped up, but that would be what's called an anterior cruciate ligament, and that holds the knee together so that it doesn't slide backwards. And when that ligament pops, the knee can move back. And that's can be painful.
Okay, and the next one you'll have to help me with, crepitus.
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 Crepitus is a injury usually it's from a traumatic or overuse from either one of those situations, where there's a roughness, particularly between the kneecap or the patella and inside this top part of the joint up in the thigh bone, because there actually is cartilage on top of these bones too that helps the bone move smoothly. So crepitus is something that the doctor can feel when he's moving this joint around during the various movements he does with the knee. If anybody's had an injured knee, you'll see the doctor try to grab the knee and move it, and try to move the lower leg, and then he'll feel the kneecap as the patient moves the knee up and down, and to see if there's any injury in the knee joint.
Now, what ways can you hurt this? Is this a car accident thing, repetitive motion at work,
well,
drugs?
We typically see it in work injuries. Now, because knee injuries, most people read about them from sports. There's a sports. You see them on TV during a football game where somebody will injure a meniscus, the cartilage, or usually one of the interior ligaments inside the knee. So we can see them in work injuries when people are, there's a sudden twisting of the knee, or you can see them when there's a fall down type of injury, where somebody falls or their foot gets caught in a hole, something like that. You rarely would see them in a car accident, because it's just not that type of force on the knee that would injure it. But you can occasionally see it in the knee.
Now, how disabling is an injury like that?
Well, the knee is obviously a weight-bearing joint, unlike your shoulder, which is the more active joint in the body, but it doesn't bear any weight. Neither does your elbow. Your ankle bears weight, and your knee bears weight. Now, the knee is a hinge joint, because it just moves up backwards and forward. But if it's injured, it can limit you in movement. If your job is one where you have to walk or have to move around from a standing position, then it can be quite limiting. If you have an office type job where you're sitting down like we're doing here, then the knee injury is not going to bother you much.
Okay, what type of legal rights do you have if you're injured on the job? I mean, this seems like it's life-altering.
Well, if it's a job injury and it's considered as a workers' comp situation, then the doctor would, if there's an operation necessary, he'd go through the operation, and that would be paid for under workers' comp. Any rehabilitation would be paid for by the workers' comp system. And then if there's any permanent impairment, you would be compensated for that. Now, under workers' compensation, there's not a great deal of money involved. So you receive a portion of your income for the period you're out of work during all the recovery period, and then a payment at the end for the impairment to the knee. If it's a 20% impairment to the knee, then the compensation would be based on what your average weekly wage is at the time.
So what's the most it could be?
Well, it's what we call a scheduled injury. So, and I forget exactly what the schedule is. It's probably 100. Just say it's 100 weeks. It's somewhere in there. But total disability is 300 weeks of your compensation. So, if you have a 20% impairment to your knee joint, then 20% of 100 weeks would be 20 weeks. So you'd be entitled to 20 weeks of compensation.
Okay.
Now, if you go into the tort system, which would be different, then you're not limited by the workers' compensation limits, and you would have to prove fault. For instance, if it was, say, you were going into a restaurant or a public place, and there was a hole or something there that wasn't supposed to be there, and you stepped in that and twisted your knee and tore your anterior cruciate ligament, so your knee was now unstable and your cartilages were messed up. Then you would be entitled to also recover for your physical impairment, as well as any pain, as well as any future lost income you would suffer. So there are many more remedies available in the tort system than there are in the workers' compensation system.
Well, thank you, Gene. If you have any questions about knee injuries, you'd like to get a hold of Gene, you can reach him through our website at talkinglawtv.com. If you'd like to refer this segment to a friend, you can watch it 24/7 through our website at the same place, or give him a call through our toll-free number at 888-2037-LAW. And we'll be back with Doug Andrews talking about repeat offenders who drive when they shouldn't be right after this.